Hello.
Hello!
I was yawning. Hello.
But I can't see you yawning because you're wearing a mask.
Hello. It was a drive-by fruiting.
How's everybody today? You doing well?
I'm good. How are you? Oh yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. All right. So how are you this morning, Bill?
I'm good. Good. Better than I was the last couple of days. I had Seroquel hangover the last couple of days.
Yeah?
Yeah, I only took like half of what I was supposed to take last night, which is still a therapeutic dose.
Yeah. Good.
So I'm still on my meds,
Good.
but less of it. So yeah, I'm better.
Can't
Hey, David.
hear you.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you either, David.
That's weird.
John, turn the volume up. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It says that the audio is working on our end. Let me check it on my phone.
You're not even gonna laugh at that a little bit.
I have no idea.
You're
what
busy. John,
saying.
remember when?
Oh, yeah. It was John's phone.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Turn the volume up. What am I saying? You can't hear me.
It works this morning. I did the same thing. Same setup.
David, let us know when you can hear us, please. I know that you can't hear this.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay.
We're good.
David, I have anxious attachment as well. I didn't know that till today.
I
But-
also have anxious attachment. Look at us.
I have the papers to prove it.
Look at us.
I am, and I quote, clingy, needy, and desperate for love.
And David, it's not necessarily a disorder. It is more or less a style. We don't want to say it's a problem or an issue, because a lot of the reasons why we have these attachment styles are absolutely nothing that's in our control. We are this way because of the way that we were raised. So it's our parents' fault. No.
Right.
You sound a little louder. Okay, that's good. But generally, you know, attachment styles come from parenting styles.
Mm-hmm.
From the way that your parents parented you.
It's what we learn.
Yeah, that's how you become the way that you are. And so I did a little digging personally. I also got anxious attachment, which is also, I do want to say that there's a bunch of different tests out there that you can take that will give you different types of results. So, because some people call them different things, and that's kind of what I wanted to point out to people is that, you know, different styles sometimes use different terminology.
Mm-hmm.
So, anxious is also known as preoccupied.
Yeah, I got preoccupied one time, and I was like, I'm not anxious. Good.
Yeah.
But you just told me I was.
Mm-hmm. And then, because I think it's just like a little, it's how you use your language, you know, and I think saying preoccupied is a lot better than saying you're anxious.
Right.
So they just word things a little differently. And then avoidant, which is also known as dismissive.
Those shoes are awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry.
You guys want to see them. Disorganized, also known as fearful avoidant. And then I'm sure we all know what secure is.
Yes.
We're all very aware of what secure is. So essentially, so there's secure, preoccupied, dismissing, fearful. And this is a good chart to use because some of us will fall somewhere within these lines, right? And it's low anxiety, low avoidance, high avoidance. So some of us will, you know, move from this to here to there. You know, we're not going to be directly into each category, right? So I fall in the preoccupied section a little bit down here because my anxiety is higher. So that's definitely something to keep in mind is you may fit a little bit into each category because of the way that these styles are, you know, tested and formulated and, you
And
know,
I
taken.
think, too, because my answers may have been different if I was in a different relationship
Yeah.
right now, you know?
Yeah, and that's true too. If you're in a different phase in your life, you know, depending on how old you are, depending on what kind of relationship you're in, I think it depends on the way that your answer is.
Yeah.
Because it really depends on if the other person that you're with is giving you the things that
Right,
you need
exactly.
because of your attachment style, which is why it's super important, I think, to take these kind of tests with your significant other, or you each take it
Yeah.
separately and then come together and then understand each other. Because we'll just go over what each attachment style kind of means. So secure is you're comfortable with intimacy, autonomy, and close relationships, and you're self-confident. And then when you're preoccupied, anxious, preoccupied with close relationships, dependent on others for self-worth, demanding approach orientation towards others. dismissive, you're compulsive, self-reliant, downplay the importance of intimate relationships, and when you're fearful, you're dependent on others, you avoid intimacy due to fear of rejection, low self-esteem, and high attachment anxiety.
I wish I was dismissive.
So there's also, I also printed out 10 signs of each attachment. So we can go over those as well before we go into our findings and what we found. So 5 conditions for raising a securely attached child are: the child feels safe and protected. For the child, safety means closeness to the parents, as they are the source of food, warmth, and protection. 2, the child feels seen and known. Attuned parents can read their baby's cues and respond to their needs. So this is kind of like the basis of what all of the others are based off of. So 3 is the child feels comfortable, feels comfort, soothing, and reassurance. When the child is distressed, the parent soothes the child back to a calm emotional state. 4, the child feels valued. Parents who raise children with a healthy self-esteem repeatedly express their joy about who the child is rather than what the child does. And then 5, the child feels supported to explore. Children need to feel supported and encouraged to explore their world joyfully and safely. So that's kind of the basis of what all of the attachment styles, the kind of foundation that they build these attachment styles off of. So if you're missing one or more than one, that kind of sets the foundation of what kind of attachment style you're going to have later on in life. So for Bill and I, we got the anxious, preoccupied attachment style. And so 10 signs of this are: lacking a strong sense of self and low self-esteem, tendency to put others and their needs first.
Yay, me, yeah.
Strong desire for relationships and intimacy and a hard time being alone, seeking approval and reassurance from others, clingy and needy behaviors in relationships,
Yay.
strong fear of rejection, criticism, and abandonment, becoming extremely upset when receiving disapproval, jealousy and frustration when the partner is unavailable and inattentive, and overanalyzing and worrying excessively about relationships, easily ignoring and misreading signs of relational issues. So let's just stop at anxious attachment. We'll dive into this first, since Bill and I and David all fall under this cusp of anxious attachment style. Now, did you read why this happened?
I did. What I read was about early childhood. I can't remember my early childhood, right? So I just gave my parents high marks for everything. But I was wondering why. I have this big fear of abandonment, you know. Even when I'm in a relationship and people are like all over me with, you know, being kind and loving and all that kind of stuff, I still have that. And that was 10 years ago. I was in counseling, and I was trying to figure out why that was. And my dad, who I was always really close to, I was born in 1967. In 1969, North Korea took the USS Pueblo, which was a Navy ship, and they captured it. And my dad got called up in the National Guard and went to Japan for a long time. And I think that's where my fear of abandonment comes from.
That could be a huge, huge thing, definitely. Because anxious attachment style is when parents are misattuned or inconsistent. I mean, having that kind of, you know, if your dad was kind of like your safe person, or you felt really close to him, or he provided you with a sense of security and safety and consistency, you know, having that ripped and taken away from you when, you know, you hadn't had time to prepare for it, that's a huge thing that could definitely lead to why you were anxiously attached.
Even if I was only 2 or 2.5?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, especially at those ages, because those are the most important ages, and those are when the most imprintation happens, are in those ages. You know, our memory can happen still in the womb. Like, we start developing memories while we're still in the womb. So, and, you know, it may not be picture memory, but it is body memory. So the pain of having that person in your life during those formidable years, and then having them completely ripped away from you, that could be a huge thing. You know, that's a huge imprint on your life, and that can really take a toll out of you as an adult. You know, even that one occurrence. And I think that's an important thing to put into perspective, is that, you know, something like that can, you know, really, really impact us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how big or how small it may be, because I think that's a huge thing.
So we have a lot to talk about, but my question, and the only way I'm going to be able to stay here for the next 45 minutes is there a way to change your attachment style? Can that be done?
Here's the thing. There is it's very similar to what I have to deal with my CPTSD, right? And a lot of the reason why we are the way that we are was because of our upbringing. And the cool thing about being raised a certain way and our brains adapting to being raised that way is that there's always, always, always an opportunity to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important thing. You know, some of us can develop certain mental health issues because of the way that we're treated by our parents. You know, some of it's genetic, obviously, that you have no control over it. But some of it is a result of what you've experienced. But through therapy and through constantly reframing and talking to your partner and being open and honest with them, it's really important, and it can get better.
What's reframing?
Reframing is essentially taking something that you see as a negative, or you know, something that is
causes you
overwhelming
pain
to you or causes you pain, right? You take that and then you look at it in a different way, or you come at it in a different way than you normally do, right? So if I have a thought like, damn, I'm so stupid because I dropped a piece of paper on the floor or something, you know, like reframing that is important to be like, you know, I'm human, I make mistakes, I didn't mean to drop the paper on the floor. You know, and it's important to catch yourself in those moments, especially when you're anxiously attached, to kind of keep yourself in check and keep reminding yourself, you know, this is okay.
You know what I use a lot of times is objective thinking. So I'll say, this is how I feel, what's the evidence?
Yeah.
You know, why am I feeling this way? What actually has this person done to me?
Yeah, what are the facts?
Yeah, what are the facts? And that helps a lot.
Yeah, which I think is really important too, like looking at it from that angle is awesome. And, you know, because our brains can just take things and run with them.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
run away. And I mean, us being anxiously attached, we're going to do that so much because of the fact that, you know, inconsistency is the thing that triggers us a lot.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, we talked about this. I, you know, said with my girlfriend, you know, I know kind of what time I'm going to hear from her in the morning and in the afternoon and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then my brain starts going.
Exactly. Me too. I'm the same way. Like if I talk to somebody all day and then suddenly I don't hear from them for a few hours,
yeah.
I just start worrying.
Yeah.
And it's never a situation where it's like I'm worried they're out cheating on me or they're doing something wrong. It's like I worry that something happened to them and that they're going to, you know, something's going to happen and I'm going to be left alone.
Mine's different. Mine is worried that they're doing something that I don't know about.
It is a jealousy thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is fair. I mean, I think also our previous relationships as well kind of play into or feed into
I was trying to
our attachment styles.
discern how much of that was, because when I was taking the quizzes, I actually found myself thinking about my last relationship a lot more than my current relationship for some reason.
Yeah, no, I did as well. I took stock of all of my other relationships and kind of wondered, you know, how I reacted to specific people in what way. Like with my first boyfriend, he was very inconsistent with me emotionally because he was always messing around with other women. So I was always just anxious all the time, always jealous, always worried, you know, for good reason, obviously. But I was just a mess. I was just a freaking wreck all the time. And then, you know, it was really different in my second relationship because he was very overbearing.
No.
Yeah. And so it's just really interesting to see what I need in relationships versus what other people can provide for me.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has their own attachment style too, right? Because I'm an anxious attachment or anxious preoccupied, and my boyfriend is actually avoidant. And so that is the literal, I mean, yo, with your mask, it's like Batman and Bane, yep. And so it's funny with attachment styles because normally anxious attached adults seek avoidant attached adults.
Wait.
Which is weird. You find that dichotomy a lot more than any other.
So like opposites attract?
It's essentially because we're comfortable because that's the way that we were raised. Because anxious attachment happens when you have misattuned or inconsistent parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how avoidant attached people are. Because they are, which is it? Oh, dismissive. So the signs of dismissive attachment are they're avoiding intimacy with others and preference for distance, tendency to pull away as soon as someone tries to get close, high self-esteem and not relying on others for reassurance or emotional support, uncomfortable with opening up to others and expressing private thoughts, dismissive behaviors and aloofness, minimizing emotional expressions, seeing yourself as self-sufficient and independent, appearing as strong, confident, and in control, believing that you don't need emotional intimacy in your life, and difficulties trusting and relying on others. And because that sounds very similar to the way that anxious attachment develops,
Mm-hmm.
we seek out, as anxious attached individuals, we seek out avoidant personalities or dismissive personalities because they mirror the way that our parents were to us when we were children.
Okay.
So it's what we're used to. And we think, we throw ourselves into these people because, we want them to love us and show us the affection that we need. But when it happens inconsistently, that just feeds into our anxious attachment
Mm-hmm.
because it's all we know.
Yeah.
Because it's what's comfortable to us.
Yep.
So that I found really, really interesting that, anxious attachment literally attracts the probably worst attachment style for them.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's really important in those moments.
The devil that you know.
Yeah, it's really important to kind of sit down and have that conversation with your partner if you feel that, these are your attachment styles, and understand, what you can do to help them out. Because with dismissive attachment, this happens, so dismissive avoidant happens when you have strict and emotionally distant parents who do not tolerate the expression of feelings and expect their child to be independent and tough.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I kind of, you have this little, you have this little chart here. So I kind of wean from preoccupied to dismissive or anxious to avoidant a lot. So I would call myself anxious avoidant.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be more than one,
Yeah.
right? You can have traits of more. So I'm really anxious, and when inconsistency happens, I freak out and I get clingy, right? But when I'm going through something or I'm having an issue, I'll isolate. I'll have to deal with it myself.
Yeah,
I'm a very independent person.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and so it's interesting the way that some of these interconnect and the way you can be more than one.
Here's why I do that, though. I do that because I think that if my partner knew what I was going through and how I really felt, they wouldn't like me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And that just feeds into the whole anxiousness of it all. Because our parents, I'm not speaking for you because I don't know how you were raised, but with my parents, it was a very inconsistent relationship with them. Some days they would, give me food, water, kindness, and care, and hugs and love. And then other days they would just be cold, aloof, distant,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was only getting that security every once in a while. So then that made me start internalizing all of it. Like, what am I doing wrong today?
Yeah.
Why don't they love me like they did yesterday?
Right.
What did I do wrong, right?
Yep.
And so that kind of narrative has been imprinted in my brain over and over and over again. So automatically when someone's being distant with me, or avoidant with me, or anything like that, I start to freak out and think it's my fault, I did something wrong. Because of the way that I was raised.
Is that kind of a borderline characteristic as well?
Yes. And the thing about borderline as well is that it's kind of in the extreme, right? But the thing about borderline is you cannot have BPD without some type of childhood trauma.
Right.
And so you develop BPD as a result of these things that happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know if BPD is genetic. I'm not sure on that one.
That's a good question, yeah.
I don't want to misspeak if that's true or if that's not, but I do know because of epigenetics, trauma manifests in your body and can change your DNA.
Yeah.
So the way that
Yeah, I think 2 generations, right? Is how they say that.
I'm not sure.
Because I think that your DNA starts to repair itself.
If you do the work.
Yeah.
Right? But but sometimes people don't do the work that they need to do.
Sure.
To repair all of this, generational trauma that
Guilty.
they've experienced. Yeah. So it's really, really interesting how that works and how that manifests in our body. And so that's anxious and dismissive. We can go into disorganized, also known as fearful avoidant. And this happens when a child is physically, verbally, mentally, or sexually abused by their caregivers or in a place where they're supposed to be safe. So their caregivers are supposed to be a source of, security and safety, but instead their caregivers are a source of fear. So that's how disorganized attachment develops, and that looks like unable to regulate emotions, strong fear of being hurt, rejected, abandoned by loved ones, chronically vigilant and anxious, low self-agency, a sense of not having an impact on the world, feeling ineffective and helpless in life, poor goal-oriented behavior, difficulties with bonding, opening up to, and trusting others, showing contradictory behavior in intimate relationships, I hate you, don't leave me, altering between clinginess and aloofness, exhibiting characteristics and behavior of the other two insecure attachment styles, dismissive and preoccupied. So disorganized would be more in line with BPD.
Yeah.
Right? That would be more of what that looks like because of the fact that this child has been, abused.
Yeah.
And they didn't feel safety when they were a kid.
The way the site that I looked at on presents that is come here, go away.
That's funny. I hate you, don't leave me, come here, go away.
Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah, so with that, it's also like you're dependent on others, you avoid intimacy due to fear of rejection, you have low self-esteem and high attachment anxiety. So it's really just I'm going to bring up this chart again because you can fall anywhere, in between, up and low, high and whatever. You can fall anywhere on the spectrum. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing that happens. And then we can talk about secure. I mean, we talked about secure a little bit, but essentially if you have a secure attachment style, that means your parents were there for you, they helped you feel safe, they helped build you a sense of safety. You're comfortable with your intimacy and relationships and close relationships, and you're a self-confident person. So
my first statement on secure attachment is it says it's the ideal attachment style needed to enjoy healthy boundaries. And so I can automatically know that I'm not secure because my boundaries are horrible.
Well, I think even if you have a secure attachment, you can still have terrible boundaries.
Okay.
I mean, I think it really just depends because there's a lot of people that, their parents provide them with a sense of safety and security. But boundaries is something that, is learned, like you can teach it, but it's more learned through action.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I guess security, when you have secure parents, they will set boundaries with you and you'll understand what that is. But I don't know. I still think that you could probably have a boundary issue even if you're securely
absolutely.
attached,
Yeah,
for sure.
could.
I think anybody has the opportunity to have a boundary issue.
Yeah, I don't think very few people are going to fit exactly into one quadrant.
Right, exactly, which is kind of my point. You can weigh between, you could be secure, anxious, you could be a little bit, you could be secure in who you are as a person and think that you're the wonderfulest person in the world, but sometimes, certain things people say make you anxious, if they're not consistent with you, maybe you get nervous about it.
Those people who think they're the greatest thing in the world, we call them Leos.
Yes, Bill, and you are one of them.
Yes, I am. Which is really weird because I have this bad self-esteem kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny because, it wanes, and me too, right? So it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm on top of the world, I'm awesome, I'm a superhero. And then other times I'm like, damn, I'm just scum of the earth, man. I'm just gum on the bottom of someone's shoe. Like, you never
BPD'd
know.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting the way that those things kind of manifest. What did you find out really super interesting about the attachment styles? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I do. What I found most disconcerting and really aggressive was the fact that people that didn't even know me told me that I was clingy, needy, and desperate for love. So, do
you find that fits you?
I don't want to think of myself as clingy and needy, but I am sometimes, but the relationship I'm in now is a little bit different because I'm not the clingy or needy one. It's my partner. And so part of my style is I give and give and give and give and give. I'm always looking for ways to make things better for her.
Yeah.
Or to let her know how I feel. And so it feeds right into that. Her being needy and clingy is awesome. Because then I can just go, full out.
It's a consistent kind of influx of attention for you, which is important to get somebody who has an anxious attachment style.
Exactly. So that one, it kind of works for me. I don't want her to live her whole life being that way, but because of situations that we're in, this is why it's happening right now. But I came up anxious, preoccupied on 2 out of the 3. The other one was secure, but anxious was like right there with it, My problem with the secure one is I don't like spending time by myself. I am always thinking, man, you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
You know.
No, me too. I feel the same way. Because human beings are wired for connection, right? So we always want to connect with people. I don't. Someday, and it's weird. It depends on the day for me. You know, sometimes I really, really enjoy being by myself and being alone, and I just like I'm living in it and I love it.
Those are great days.
Fun, you know? Yeah. But then other days it's just much harder, and you need somebody around.
Mm-hmm.
It just really depends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, anxious preoccupied, it fits, you know, and the way that they describe it and the way that parenting styles, you know, lead to this kind of attachment style. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like in a way I fit a lot of them. And like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but I feel like I have traits of literally every single one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
In a way, you know, even secure I have, you know, some traits of secure too. So I think these tests and these little things. Brian also got anxious preoccupied. Oh, look at us. We're just a fun bunch.
Aren't we? Yeah.
That's so awesome. I think it's interesting to take these tests though.
Oh yeah.
And just to see where you're at and kind of understand the way that your brain works, and you know, share it with your partner, share it with the people that you're with, have them take it as well. So you guys know the traits and you know why they happen. So you guys can work through it, you know, because me and my partner, because he is avoidant, because he had very strict parents, we always have to have conversations with me saying, I need you to be consistent with me. And he's like, it's really hard for me to be consistent. You know, so it's just like we butt heads a lot on that, but we find ways to make it work because our attachment styles are pretty different. And they kind of fuel the fire of every single one because I try to get consistency in me trying to get consistency. I tend to be a little clingy and a little controlling, which dismissive individuals don't like and they don't appreciate because they feel like they're being held down or they're in a strict situation again. Mm-hmm. So it's just really interesting how to like navigate in that kind of situation. But I make it work. Like we make it work, and that's kind of what I wanted to say is that it's workable.
Did he take the test?
No, I already know what he is.
Okay.
He did not take the test. I should have him take the test, but what I know about him and the way that he is, I'm pretty sure he is the one that I think he is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to have him take the test after this.
I would like my friend to take the test, but I don't want to discuss mine because I'm embarrassed by it.
Why? You guys are going to get the same one.
Probably so. Yeah. I like the part that, you know, where I care excessively for the needs of my partner.
Yeah.
At my own expense.
And that's what I want to kind of bring up as well. Like, this isn't a bad thing. Like, taking these attachment styles and having these attachment styles is not a bad thing. It's just a window of knowledge into who you are as a person. And they kind of make it seem to be a lot worse than it is just because a lot of these categories, they're talking, hey, worst case scenario, this is the type of person that you are.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's not that worst case scenario.
Right.
A lot of times you mildly fit these characteristics.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and I think it's really interesting, and I like these tests because it's telling me I'm not crazy. You know, there's other people out there like this, and A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
Because I went through this as a child.
Yeah.
You know, this is the way that I was raised, and that's the outcome that happened, and that's why I am the way that I am in relationships. Mm-hmm. It helps me feel better because I know that I'm not just making all this stuff in my head and I'm just putting myself through this for nothing. It all happened because of the way that I was raised.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to me to see how take the same quizzes at different intervals in your relationship and see if it changes some. I mean, it'll slide, you know, one way or the other.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I like to take these 16 personality tests too. And last year around this time, I got ENFP, right? And I've always been an ENFP. Mm-hmm. Which I can't remember what that one is. But I've always been ENFP for as long as I can remember. I actually took it the other day in a training, and I got ENFJ. Okay. And I have never been anything other than ENFP, so it was really interesting that when you take these kind of tests at different points in your life, how the results change.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt like, you know, my second result made so much more sense because of the way the pandemic has impacted me.
ENFJ.
Yeah. Because ENFP was like, you're super social, you know, you're the center of attention, and then ENFJ is more like analytical of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're still confident and things like that, but
Some
you're more
of
of like a teacher or a professor.
Some of that could be because of your job. You
Yeah,
know?
I think
because
that way
you've
too.
changed because of your job.
Yeah, I also think that as well, because I've, you know, fit into this kind of mold I have here. So now I'm more confident in
Yep.
myself and my skills, you know.
Yep.
Whereas before, my sense of self was based around, you know, my friends and concerts and, you know, what we did together and we had fun together. And now my whole life is my job.
Yeah.
So.
And you're in a position in your job where you're a disseminator of information. Like people come to you for things.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
you get things done, and so that gives you that J part.
Yeah. Have you taken the personality test?
No, I
before?
need to. Yeah.
You should, and see if it's changed from the last time that you. What was it the last
I have
time?
no idea.
You don't know?
No, I can't remember.
Cool.
But whatever the best was, I'm sure.
Of course.
A. No, I'll have to get where you can take that online.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Did you end up taking your love language test as well?
Yeah. Well, not together.
No.
No. I'm afraid to do that stuff.
Why?
I don't know. I took the game home too. We're Not Really Strangers, and she asked, "What's that?" And I said, "It's a game. Like it helps you get to know each other." And she's like, "Okay, trash can's right over here." No, she didn't say that at all. I'm just kidding with you. That was not what happened. But I'm afraid to open it up. You know,
Why?
I don't know.
I think. Are you afraid that you're going to find something out about her that you don't like? And then
No,
cover it
not at
up?
all. I think that I just assume that she is doing fine. You know, she's in a relationship she wants to be in, and she's perfectly happy. Which doesn't make sense because nobody's like that. So I don't know why I'm afraid to.
Maybe dig deep inside yourself and figure it out.
Maybe.
I mean, ain't nothing to do but to do it, man. You should just
Yeah.
do it. You should just play it with her.
Yeah, I should.
Because I did that with Evan. Me and Evan played it. Because I bought it.
Yeah.
So me and him played it. It was really fun. It was nice. I found out a lot more about him than I originally did, but it was good stuff. It was good information.
If you come Saturday, she's gonna be here Saturday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get to meet her then.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Maybe I will invite Evan.
I've been waiting for this for a long, long time, for 5 months.
Yeah?
For you to meet her, so you can say, "Here's her aura." Because you
That's
can
gonna be
do
fun.
that.
Yeah, I can like read people's energies and their auras, and if they're a good person, bad person. It's mainly like, just I look at them, the way that I feel inside in my chest and in my stomach will automatically tell me whether or not this person is going to be a good or a bad person in my life, I guess. I don't know. It sounds kind of wonky, but I just get kind of like a weird reaction, and it's never been wrong. It's never been wrong
Well,
yet.
you were dead on last time in my relationship.
Yes, I was. And I was,
And there's a lot of similarity in these two people, which
Yep.
is scary.
I know there is. Fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But
right?
I'll be able to tell, you know. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Would you like me to lie to you?
No.
Okay.
No. I want you to tell me the truth so I can get her an Uber home if I have to.
Hopefully the weather is okay on Saturday and
Yeah.
we're not snowed in again.
It'll be good.
We are snowed in today. So, not really snowed in, but the roads are terrible. I skidded like 3 or 4 times on the way getting here. I got stuck. So, not a good situation.
No. I found out that my car does not do really well in snow.
No, my car does not do well in snow whatsoever. Is
My-
there anything else you want to go over?
And my car is very afraid that I'm going to leave it. So.
Right. Is there anything else you want to go over in terms of attachment styles, what they mean, how they happen?
Yeah. So part of my objectivity, you know, I worry that people are going to cheat on me.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, because I have no reason to think that in my current relationship. None at all. Not even one, because we even talk about it.
Okay.
But I get this gut reaction, you know, where my stomach kind of churns and stuff when I hear certain things. But when I don't get the answer I want to get, and you know some of this, I'm trying to think of what they are, but
like you're like, hey, can we hang out tonight? And they're like, oh, I actually have a ton of stuff to do. You automatically like feel crappy about it.
It used to bother me when she would say, I'm hanging out with my friend on this day or whatever day. I'm like, oh, who's that? I didn't ask that, you know, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm curious as to who that is. But The whole, she has a friend that's a guy, and they've been friends for a long time, or a while. And her comment to me was, if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. And I'm like, I don't like that. What I want to hear is, no, it's, I would not do that. Not that it's not going to, things don't happen. People do things.
Yeah.
Right? Take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Is kind of where I'm coming from. And
right.
I don't like
But in her defense, it could be just her brushing off the situation, like, if it hasn't happened already, it's not going to happen,
And
that could have been her way of saying it would never happen.
Yeah, it could have been. It wasn't like that. But, and she said, hey, you and Amanda are, whatever you guys are close. And if you need to hang out with Amanda, if you guys need time together, that's absolutely cool. And I'm like, yeah, and that's totally different because Amanda's 25 years old. It's not the same thing, and it irritates me when when you draw some correlation where there isn't one. Mm-hmm. It's annoying.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of interesting because for what she does for a living, she hangs out with old people.
Yeah.
So she might be hanging out literally with someone who's 25 years older than her. Then I don't worry about that.
Yeah. But I think it's different. I think that the reason why she was drawing that correlation specifically was because you don't really have anybody else close to you around your age that you're like super close to, that you hang out with outside of work, that's like a best friend kind of person.
Right.
Like that person is to her.
Yeah.
The closest person that you have to like a really close friend would be me or Ashley.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why she was making that kind of parallel and that kind of comparison. So like that there's nothing to worry about because it's really just a best friend situation.
Yeah. 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 I
regardless, though, it still kind of makes you feel a certain way.
That and the whole conversation we had about dating apps, where she showed me a picture of somebody and said, this guy's on all of the dating apps. And I'm like, how do you remember that from 5 months ago? Because that's the last time I was on a dating app.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, do you think I'm still on a dating app? And I said, I don't know. And she said, I said, are you? And she said, I spent all my time with you. And I'm like, redirect. The witness is not answering the question. But it's a perfectly acceptable answer if it's true. No, I don't have any time.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. But
Ben hopped in and said, I'm paranoid too about stuff like that. Yeah, you're not alone, Bill.
Ben!
Hi, Ben!
It's good to see you, Ben.
Good to see you.
I saw your dog, Gryffindor. Very cute.
Aww.
I like the Hufflepuff comment, though. He looks like a Hufflepuff. But I'm glad you're here, Ben.
That's awesome.
What did he say?
He said I'm paranoid too about stuff like that.
Yeah, it gets annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Especially when you're anxiously attached. You think that this person's just going to pack up and leave you whenever.
My stomach is doing it now just talking about it.
So it's hard for you to stand up for yourself. It's hard for you to say that those things bother you because you don't want to push this person away. You just want to you still want to be attached. So you try not to step on their toes as much as possible, but it's hard when you want to stick up for yourself.
Yeah. I don't do that very often, and I don't really have to because I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do kind of whatever she wants to do, to my detriment.
Yep.
Not yet, maybe, but sometimes, yeah. So maybe I will get the guts to say, hey, let's do this quiz or let's play this game or.
Yeah, because you'll never know unless you try, and I think that's a really important
I know.
thing. You have to allow people to give you the support you need, because if you never give them the opportunity, they'll never be able to prove you right or wrong.
That's true.
And if they prove you wrong, then you know where that person stands in your life.
Yeah.
And if they prove you right, awesome, even better.
Yeah. So one of the questions that came up a lot on the quizzes that I was having trouble with was, I feel like if my partner left me, I would never find someone else. And I don't think that. I used to think that, but I don't think that anymore because I've had success,
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that. Can you help me? I'm Bill. I have no idea what I was talking about.
I think a lot of these do change over time.
Yeah.
Right? Like depending on your interpersonal relationships, right? That's not something that I really worry about. Like, for me, I don't worry about being alone. I don't worry about being by myself. I don't worry about not being in a relationship. I know I can survive without a relationship. I know I can survive alone because I've been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
I had to be extremely independent as a child because my needs were being met, so I had to meet them myself. And I think this is why, I get anxiously attached to my partners, because of the fact that I am searching for the kind of love from them that I did not receive from my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of like unconditional bond kind of thing, because I have that parent wound that I'm trying to fill, right? And so when these people act inconsistent with me, or they're super lovey one day, super distant the next, which is gonna happen, right? We're people.
It does, absolutely.
We're people. That happens. Yeah. I automatically, start feeling like I'm a child again, and I feel like that small girl again, where I feel like, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Why aren't they giving me the same kind of thing that they gave me before?
Yeah.
And then I start freaking out, thinking it's something I did wrong, and then I'll start fights, or I'll bring up something, or, I've gotten a lot better, though, at being like, hey, I'm having a really rough day, or, hey, I noticed that you're kind of off today. Is everything okay? Do you want to talk about it? I've been really good about being communicative about my feelings and how I read them as well.
I think I've been good at that, too. But you brought up something I wanted to talk about. You said starting fights. So anger plays a big role in our attachment style.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really get angry.
Well, because anger is a secondary emotion.
Okay.
When people oftentimes get angry, it's because they're feeling something else,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's probably a good thing that you don't necessarily get angry, because you get other things instead, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some people, anger is the only emotion they can express or know how to express, or the only valid emotion that they feel like they can feel.
Yeah.
Right? Which for me, it was anger. A lot of the times growing up, and a lot of times still I deal with it. But I've learned to kind of redirect that anger and kind of chip away at it and look underneath the anger. Okay, what am I actually feeling?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You like to beat people's asses sometimes.
Yes, in the past, not partners. I've never been abusive in a relationship in that way. But there have been, times where I was in high school and girls would, be mean to my friend or be mean to me, and I would have to get into fights because I don't like being disrespected,
mm-hmm.
and I would get into physical altercations, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it took me a long time to get underneath that and realize, well, why do you feel this way, And a lot of times when I don't, and it kind of plays back into the anxious attachment style, because when I feel like I'm being disrespected or put down or pigeonholed in any type of way, or somebody that I love is feeling those things, I'm going to turn into Mama Bear, not only for myself, but for others.
So my girlfriend, she has told me a couple times, she's like, if something happens to you or the kids and it's bad, I'm going to get super pissed. I'm going to be madder than you've ever seen me. I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to scream at them because I'm terrified.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really appreciate her telling me that.
And she knows, which is great.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
She knows that her anger comes from a place of fear, which is oftentimes where anger comes from, right? We want to control the situation because we're afraid in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, anger happens from, not being listened to.
Yeah.
And that kind of plays back into the attachment style as well. When I don't feel like my needs are being met or my feelings are being heard, I get angry and pissed and resentful because I feel like I'm being neglected.
Right.
And, it reinforces the whole situation I have with my parents and yada, yada, yada. So underneath that anger is more like sadness and, disappointment, and I'm upset. But my instant reaction is to get angry because that's the only time anybody ever listened to me when I was a kid.
That makes sense.
Even if I would pout or cry or whatever, I would be ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time that would really, get me attention is when I'd be angry or punch holes in walls or whatever. That would be where they would be like, whoa, what's going on,
mm-hmm.
And so that's my initial reaction from childhood. But I've gotten a lot better. I've calmed down so much, and I'm not as angry as I used to be. But I do still get resentful, and I do still get kind of snooty, and that's something that I'm working on every single day.
You're much different than you were 2 years ago, or 2.5 when we met. You really changed quite a lot in that respect, I think. I think you work so freaking hard on, yourself and your relationships and trying to understand what's going on. I think that it's paying off, and I think that's cool.
I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I over try to heal, or I overanalyze, or I try to over fix myself, and I just end up burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I appreciate you saying that, because oftentimes when we're in the position that we are, we don't really notice a change.
Right.
As much as we would like to. And so I appreciate you saying that, because you know, I feel it. Like, you know, I feel like I've made a lot of progress. I feel like I've gone backwards in a lot of ways too. So, yeah, it's just kind of a part of life, the way that we go through when we heal and things like that. Sometimes we take a few steps forward and a few steps back. Bye, Ben. Have a good day.
Bye, Ben. See ya. Tell Kelly hi. What time we got?
We got 12:29.
Ah.
I think we're good. We've been going for 45 minutes.
We have. You did a great job.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for putting all this together. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bouncing ideas back and forth with me and talking about this and taking the test.
Cool.
Exciting stuff. So if you guys want to know more about attachment styles, you can Google it. You can just Google attachment style quiz and you can take one and learn all about it.
What was the good one?
Attachment style project.
Yeah.
Was the one that I liked. You did have to put in your email to find the full results, but you really don't have to do that. Just find out your attachment style, go back to the home page, and there's a drop down where it says attachment styles, and just click on the attachment style that you have, and you don't even need to put in your email.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, I think that does it for us, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.